Hi there, I'm Kathy Barker from Software Solutions, and I want to take you through Copilot. Now, there's multiple versions of Copilot out there, and I want to focus on Copilot for Microsoft 365. That is the Copilot that integrates into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, pretty much all of the Microsoft apps. And so I want to look at it first of all with regards to Word. Now, if you've got Copilot for Microsoft 365, you'll find on the Home tab to the right hand side that you've got a button here called Copilot. You'll also see that you've got this prompt sitting here whenever you open up a blank document. So how does Copilot work? You can either click this button here, or you can press Alt-I and then start drafting a question or a description for Copilot. So let's start with clicking this icon, and I'm going to ask it, what are the intended uses for Copilot in Microsoft Word? Now notice here, 57 out of 2000. You are allowed up to 2000 characters when you write your description, so be as detailed as possible. I really don't have much more to say, so I've only got 57 out of 2000 characters. At this point, I can click the Generate button, or I can press Control Enter, whichever you find easier. I'm just going to click Generate. Microsoft Copilot will draft an answer in response to your question. You can click Stop at any point. There was a stop button there, but I've just got an answer sitting right here now. So here are the intended uses for Copilot. It generates content really easily. It gives you good spelling and grammar. It summarizes information for you and gives you insights by giving you just the key points of a document, for example. It assists you with formatting and styling, and it also analyzes data and encourages collaboration and feedback. It really helps you with the creative process. So often I have to create a document that I've possibly never created before, and you end up a little bit paralyzed and not knowing where to start. So question Copilot. Copilot will get you started. It's a really good tool. Now, if I wanted this information to be presented to me in a shorter format, I can go here and say, write this in 2 paragraphs. And enter. Now, see, enter only gives me another line, backspace, Control Enter, or I could have clicked the arrow. And so now it'll give me in 2 paragraphs the same response, and see it is here. And then I think, oh, that's still a bit much to read. Actually, can you present this information in a bulleted list? Control Enter. And so here's the same information in a bulleted list format. I could then say, actually, can you shorten the list? Control Enter. And so now it's just gone and shortened it. And I could actually say, could you summarize the bulleted list down to 6 key points? Control Enter. So it's helping me get to where I need to be. It's become my assistant. And that's why Microsoft went with the name Copilot. They took the idea of a flight. You have a pilot, which is yourself, but you need an assistant for that flight to be successful. So Copilot sits alongside of you and helps you achieve your mission. It is your virtual assistant, and it's going to help you with creating content in Word. At this point, I've created 5 versions of this document, and I can see 5 of 5. I'm looking at 5 of 5. But if I hit this chevron, I can go the previous draft, the previous draft, the previous draft, and walk back through to number 1. And I can move forward as well until I get to the final draft. So you can move back and forth between your different drafts. If I click the pen, I can actually edit the prompt and give it more information so I get a better response. But I'll just click cancel and I'll go back to here. We looked at, if I went into this box here, I could say, change it into 2 paragraphs, change it into a bulleted list, make it shorter, only give me 6. So this is where we're refining what we're after. Now the thumbs up as I like it, and that's great, but the thumbs down is important. The thumbs down says you dislike it. So sometimes because AI, artificial intelligence, is still learning what it is that you want, it may actually give you a response that you're not happy with. And if you give it the thumbs down, then it'll learn not to go down that road with you. So that's a way of educating Microsoft Copilot. If I just wanted to back out of this completely, then I can hit the trash can and that will just discard it completely. And if I hit regenerate, well, it'll still give me the information in 6 bulleted points, but written differently. So let me regenerate this. And so it's regenerating these 6 bullet points, but it writes the content differently. So now I've got version 6 and I can regenerate it again. And it'll write another version. It actually seems to be struggling at this point to give you any sort of other versions because that's the answer in that concise form. So I'm actually going to click keep it, and that puts it into my document. Okay, so that does raise a question. If everybody's asking the same question, aren't we all going to get the same answer? Well, yes, there is that possibility, but we slightly phrase our questions differently. And so the response will be different and it will regenerate different responses. And it's always learning, and the content on the internet is always changing. So you will generally get a unique answer, but you should always review the answer. And I believe you should just use Copilot as a starting point, and then you completely customize, refine, and improve on what it gave you and give it your flavor and your intent and your message. So don't just go with what Copilot gives you. So I could ask that question. Let me just click the icon and then type this prompt. Can I trust what Copilot in Word creates? So use Copilot to ask questions. And here it is here. It will tell you that you do need to review the information and just check the integrity of the information. So I'll choose keep it. Another option you have if I select this information here is on the home tab to the right hand side is editor. And in the editor panel there is an option called similarity. Now this similarity option actually checks for similarity of what I have selected with any online content. And it'll tell you whether it's unique or there is actually content that's similar. So let me just click this button. And what it's telling me is 0% of your text is similar to online sources that it could find. So that's a feature you could employ to check if your content is similar to anything online. Okay, so let's look at generating content in Word using Microsoft Copilot, which we've sort of touched on. We know we can click this button. We know we can press Alt-I. We can then type a question. Now, one thing I really like is if you hit the Windows logo key and the letter V, you will fire up or show your clipboard. And my clipboard is showing me things that I've copied. And so this is really handy when you've got prompts that you want to copy and paste and refine. And so I would recommend that you turn your clipboard history on, and it'll allow you to then copy a number of things. So if I close this, let me just go and copy something else. I'm just going to copy this. Now if I click here and go Windows V, you'll see that I've copied 2 things. So I can go back and paste this or go back and paste this. Just really handy. So anyway, I've got this little prompt up here. I want it to, Windows V, describe the drink caramelized hazelnut latte. So I hit generate. So I'm going to keep this. Now what I'm going to do also, if I get back to the top of this document, is just delete this beginning bit. Now I want to save this document, so I press F12, and on the desktop I'll save this document. I'm going to close it, Control W, and open up a new document, Control N. I'm going to click the Copilot prompt. I'm going to type, well, Control Windows V actually, and I'm going to choose this option. And I'm going to ask it to describe the drink matcha tea and generate. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go Control Home to the top. I'm going to F12 to save as. I'm going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to close it, Control W, new document, Control N, click the Copilot, and now I need to generate some information about triple chocolate mocha. Now I could click Generate, or I could press Control Enter. Control Enter is the same as clicking Generate. This has searched the internet and it's found information about a triple chocolate mocha, which I actually have never made before. But it's telling me the ingredients or the components that I need, which is basically espresso milk and good chocolate. It's then telling me, after the ingredients, the instructions on how to create it. If I thought, I don't know if I quite like this recipe, then I have the option here to regenerate it. And so I can ask it to regenerate the entire document. But if I decide that I actually like the first version, after I've reviewed this version, I'll go to the first version and I'll keep it. So I've created 3 documents with 3 very interesting drinks using Copilot very quickly. I'll press F12 and save this. I'll press Control W to close the document and Control N for a new document. So one of the superpowers of Copilot in Word is to generate content, especially if you don't know where to start.